Your MUMBOT. How do you describe what you do? It's like very creepy and but kind of adorable and cute. I don't. I hopefully that's not the right or the wrong thing to say, but like you have this little ghost that you use a lot in your like that's your logo, I guess.
Augustus.
Yeah, can you just maybe talk about your style a little bit and like what kind of stuff you do?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm an artist, so but
Oh,
I
okay.
did. Yeah.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to Clean Break, a podcast dealing with art and business powered by Always Art. I'm your host, Matt Gondek.
I do 2D art, but I also work in 3 dimensions. I do digital art, but I also paint. I make toys. Um, I don't know. It's like I have my whole thing down pretty much when I explain like what I do, but it's been changing a lot. So I hate like saying it now because I feel like it doesn't. It's such a big mouthful. When I say what I am, right? I usually say hi, I'm Mumbot, and then I say I am an artist, toy designer, storyteller, world builder, and then I'll just go into like how I founded Ghost Club, an international creative community. Um, but yeah, but I'm actually like I'm trying to figure out like how do you even describe what you do anymore when you're like I don't know, I'm just trying to expand what I do now. I'm trying to like explore new mediums and new new medium artists. I don't know.
Okay.
I
So
Yeah.
go ahead. I mean, well, I just wanted to highlight something real quick. Going through all the different things you do, I just saw that you just won an award for a toy you made, right?
Oh, yeah, so technically so that's kind of weird. I won Breakthrough Artist of the Year for Designer Toy Awards, but I actually won that technically for I would have won it in the year of 2020,
Okay.
but it would have it wasn't like awarded because they didn't have the awards because of the pandemic. So then they didn't have it until 2021.
Okay.
And then they haven't had a follow-up, so I've just kept that in my bio. They haven't had a new awards since.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Doesn't breakthrough artist kind of allude that you're a new artist?
It's weird because 2019, I would say, was a breakthrough year for me. It was by far, like, at that time, a huge jump from, like, where I had been before that.
Where were you?
Um, just in general, I just mean, like, I was like, between 2017 and 2019, um, I don't know, I just had, like, a shift in, like, how things were going. Like, was not, uh I was exhibiting a lot more and, like, having trouble keeping up with people asking me to be in shows, and, like, it started to shift in 2019 where I I was, like I think I did, I don't know, like, 20 events that year, which was, like, 15 more than the year before that. It was just, like, such a huge jump, and it was, um I had released my first, plush and my first vinyl figure, I think, that year, or yeah. So, like, I had done a resin figure before that, and there's just a lot that happened in the year of 2019, and I had been going international for the first time, like, doing some
Got it.
international shows. So the
So everything
awareness
was
was
going
different.
well. Like
Yeah.
things were going that kind of happened to me in the same thing where like I mean I've been doing this now for forever and things really started going around that time too, the international the toys and then the pandemic happened and it kind of stomped on a lot of different stuff. Is that kind of what you're saying here?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like you put I mean, like, obviously and, like, I'm not trying to complain too much because our lives are good, all things considered, but, like, you just spend all these years grinding as an artist trying to get somewhere, and then, you know, the pandemic happened and just kinda, like, just like, "Okay, well, what was I doing all that for?" Because I didn't know if, like, anything was ever gonna come back, you know? I mean, we all switched to digital for a while, and you've picked up the ball and ran with that, and we're definitely gonna talk about that. Um, yeah, so what was that like for you? So, like, things were going really well, and then pandemic, like, how did you feel?
Oh, yeah, I also got picked up in, like, my plush got picked up in Hot Topic and Box Lunch and stuff like that. So, um but and that was like really big, but um what happened was the pandemic. So it was like at a time when they finally made it into malls, like actual physically like in the stores.
Hmm.
No one was going to malls.
Which plush was it? What was it of?
So my first series was Agostus, Mossy the Moss Spirit, and Crispu the Crystal Spirit. So
Okay.
those were it was like my first it was like my first collection. I have two collections now, and then I have this year I just released I'm about to release officially the plush keychains. I'm slowing it down right now cuz like I just want to release like a special plush at different seasons is like my new thing that I
Okay.
decided I want to do.
I saw on the Hot Topic website, they still have one of your lines on there now. They have hoodies and you have some plush in there now, correct?
Yeah.
Are you
So that was cool. They added me to their creator thing afterwards because it was like
okay?
another way to sort of feature me during the pandemic when it was like kind of a weird time.
Okay. So in terms of them finally, you do this deal and now your plush is in their stores, but people weren't going to stores, all things considered. Did you have to self-produce like a large volume of these yourself up front, and then they were just sitting in stores, no one was going to them, or like what happened?
Yeah, so luckily what happens is yeah, I mean, yes, so that's hard. So like that's why it's really that could be really stressful. Like I had to produce it and
Hmm.
they had a purchase order. So like they do have a purchase order, but it's not paid until later, you know? So you no matter what, you're going to be out of the cost of however many you decide to produce.
Yeah.
Um the good news is it's still like my order everything that I on my end went through very smoothly. There was a little dicey moment and I was able to get through without too much trouble, but no matter what they're still going to have they distribute it to their stores and it's out there into the world. um it just took a long time for them to sell because
Got
of
it.
how
Got it.
long, but they
Can
still
you?
sell online, and they've actually like the Shumi Mushroomy plush, which is right there.
Yeah.
They like sold out really fast. Like as soon as those came out, that was my second batch. As soon as those came out, they sold out within like a month or something, and I had to
Amazing.
reorder. Yeah.
Can you tell us how many you made, like just to give people listening an example?
So the first time I should have made less. The first round I should have made less, but I wanted to meet their order. And
Hmm.
then I ordered like three times the minimum. So the minimum is 500. I did
Okay.
like 1500, and that also helps reduce cost.
Yeah.
It's nothing too crazy, you know what I mean? And then they reduced their order literally afterwards.
Oh my god. So what did you
Yeah.
do with them?
So there's still, we still have some in the warehouse of from that time because it was also at the beginning of like awareness of like my plush. So I have I think we're in like 40 stores right now currently across the United States.
Oh wow.
Not just Hot Topic Box Lunch, but specialty stores throughout the United
Oh, right
States.
on. Okay.
Yeah.
How's that work? How are you doing that? Are you reaching out yourself and saying, "Hey, I have this to wholesale you," or like, what's the story
No.
there?
So the buyer at Hot Topic Box Lunch found me at DesignerCon,
Sorry,
actually.
real quick. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Box Lunch is a company that distributes to Hot Topic.
They're like owned by the same
Got it.
corporation.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And I think there's a third one, I can't remember. But
Okay.
their buyer at the time of collectibles, she found me at DesignerCon. And
Hmm.
it just kind of I originally like I went through they had like a 70-page manual that I went through for like new vendors, and I read it and it was really really intense, and I remember thinking I had just spoken to Dispersed, the distributor, a few months before that, and I thought, well, maybe this is a good time to start working with Dispersed because um, they already have a warehouse. They have all these things. They know how to deal with these orders, and there's a lot of very particular things. And if you don't do everything exactly, you get fined. Like there's fines if you don't sticker your packaging correctly.
Oh
If
my
you
god.
Oh yeah, and that like for a small business and an artist, like you getting a hit with
Yeah.
like a $250 fine because you didn't sticker it in this horizontally, or you you
Yeah.
you're missing something like small, and that would definitely happen. It's gonna be like me, my kids, their grandpa, like it's gonna be us packaging this stuff, on the kitchen
Yeah,
table.
of course,
So
yeah.
so yeah, so I it made sense to start talking to Dispersed again. So I made that work out, and now it's like a lot easier because I basically just have my plush go right to their warehouse, and then they can handle all the reaching out. I mean, I do still reach out, but I'll like send them to Disperse. Like I'll still reach out to some if I'm like at at a convention or something. I'll just be like, yeah, you can order my plush from here.
Got it.
And
Okay.
just
Yeah, yeah.
send them there.
Also, you're making hoodies. I saw that they also have those on the website. I imagine. Do they manufacture anything themselves, or are you having to manufacture even like the clothing?
No, so I want to do that would be like a separate deal. That would be more like the plush. What I'm doing with them is like a print on demand thing. And
Okay. I know the difference between someone else making something for you and you just having to roll with it versus doing it yourself and you have control over every aspect. Like I'm sure when you make something, you're much more conscious of the blank the shirt's printed on and everything. But
yes,
when you go to a big box store, they have their blank and it's not going to be as good because there's like a profit margin they're trying to make or whatever.
yeah.
But it's pretty cool you have things in stores, because like there's so many artists that don't and they want that. So like I think you have to like take the good with the bad kind of thing.
Thank you. Yeah. I love that you just said that, and I really appreciate that because it's like it's better that I had something than
Yeah,
have zero. And that
totally.
that was really true. Like people right now when they want something, they have to wait till I have um if they want like the hoodies that I have that are embroidered, or if they want like the nicer quality stuff, they have to wait till I make a small batch for an event. And then if I put them in the shop, they're gone. You know what I mean? Like there's not going to that's just how it is. So um but like in the meantime, there's this stuff at Hot Topic, you know what I mean? And it's nice to have that option.
Totally. So you have a web shop that whenever you release things, it sells out fairly quickly. Is that what you're saying?
That I did, yeah. I haven't updated I'm literally about to update the shop finally, and it's been a long time. But at the time, yeah, I would have every time I had anything in the shop, it was gone like really quick. So,
Okay. Give me two reasons why you think that you have a shop that things sell out so quickly. Two reasons why.
oh, uh, s- scarcity.
Okay, that's a good one. if I had to pick two, I would say the same thing. But I asked two because the second one's harder. There's no right or wrong answer. This isn't like a trick question. I'm just because I think it's so interesting. I talk about this with I actually had this conversation with an artist the other night. He just made an edition of 100 sculptures, and he was talking about when he should release them and like how he should. And like someone a long time ago told me the value of scarcity, and it helps you know as a business, not having things available all the time. Do you have a second option, second reason?
Second reason is it's hard. Second reason,
Well, I think you
hmm.
build a really good community. Like you're very engaged with your fans, and you're also kind of like, hey, I know you guys like me, but then check this out and look at this. And I'm talking to this person, and I think that goes a long way. If I had to guess for you, that would be my answer. I mean, you probably have a different reason, but we're gonna get into all that. I want to talk. You said it's called Ghost World, right?
Um, MUMBOT World or Ghost Club?
Sorry,
Are you talking
sorry.
about Ghost Club, the community, the artist
Yeah.
community?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Got it. We're gonna get to that. Let's just switch gears. Let's talk about your digital work. You're very prevalent in the NFT space, digital art. I just saw that you were just interviewed by Gary Vee on something. Is that right?
Yeah, I was interviewed by Gary Vee, actually
For
in
what?
2021. Yeah, and then
Oh,
and then he released it last year on his official podcast, and that got the sixth most listens of the entire year, which was pretty impressive.
that's amazing. Very cool. Uh, what is his? I don't. this is gonna sound so stupid, but I'm sure that I'm not the only person on earth. Who is he? Like, I know that he's in the NFT space, and like a
Yeah.
lot of people look up to him. But, like, who is he? I'm sorry if this is a dumb question.
It's not a dumb question.
I just know that he's like famous, but I don't know why.
That's so funny. Yeah, I actually could I think I could probably give a really good answer for this. So he's well known for a lot of different reasons, right? And one of them being that he's an entrepreneur, and he has like a strong personal brand where he does a lot of motivational content. But he started off actually as like one of the earliest YouTuber like influencers. Like he started off trying to help build his dad's wine store and wine business. And then he was like one of the first early people to figure out I think e-commerce and how to utilize YouTube and stuff to like help sell products. And
Okay.
but he was it wasn't like he was like on there selling, he was reviewing. He was doing like wine reviews.
Okay.
And his background was um he was into like trading cards and collectibles and garage sailing. So people they get confused because they got to know him from the wine thing, and then later on they started to see that he's like a businessman. But he also owns like this huge media company called VaynerMedia, and they um they are in the ad world, right? Like I guess they
Got it.
like do like commercials, and they do a ton of stuff. They're behind a lot of things that I think he's also in the music business. He's affiliate because like I knew him as when I first heard about him. Somehow I remember it was like, oh, that's the guy who he's like into hip hop and he's a businessman. And then he got into Web3, and I was like, oh, that's cool. That cool hip hop businessman guy was also doing like NFTs. And what I thought was the coolest was when I started to see that he decided to just draw everything even though he's not known as an artist. So I was like, that's pretty, it takes a lot of guts to like do that and not
Yeah.
be knowing that people are gonna probably shit on it.
Well,
But
people shit on everything.
I know.
So thank you for that. I didn't know about the wine or any of that. So he had you on interviewing you about Web3.
About he just interviewed me like about I guess he found my art and he liked it. And then
Hmm.
yeah, he knew I had NFTs. So I think the first thing he bought, one of the reasons I think he really became a fan of what I'm doing was the very first piece, my Genesis, was actually bundled with a physical. It was two physicals. It was the NFT, which was a collaboration with my friend Cyrus James Khan, and it came with a physical print, and a Shumi Safubi limited edition. It was it was an edition of 3,
Nice.
micro
Okay.
edition.
Right on. And you're still heavily involved in digital art, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
How how would you, I'm so sorry, this isn't an attack, but like I think a lot of people that were in there early adopters, they left. And there's so many conversations now about, oh, it's dead and everything. But I still think that, you look at someone like you, it's still flourishing, there's still a lot going on. Like, what would you say to all those people that are like, why are artists still involved in this space?
Yeah, sure. I have no problem answering that question. I think it's more important than ever to just understand that you need to like learn about the technology behind it. I think right now is a perfect time to get not necessarily to think like you're gonna make money right now. It is you have to be the reality is that the market shifted, right? And that's the case with any market or any
Totally.
economic situation. But um unfortunately there were a lot of other factors, like there was a lot of other stuff that kind of overshadowed the cool stuff that was going on, in my opinion. So there were a lot of the scams, and there was a lot of the greedier stuff, and um I think that ultimately, if you really look at it, it's like no different than trying to come up with a really cool, innovative product, but like you're trying to come up with maybe um, other layers to your art. So that's really how I try to look at it. I'm always trying to come up with new um, ways to put my art out there and create like some kind of a new experience for the collectors. Like, how can I add more value to what I'm doing? Like,
Yeah.
and by the way, with the technology that's available, there are so many more options. Why wouldn't you want to learn more about it? I mean, just like having the AR functionality to your prints, adding what else? There's like a soulbound token, thing that's kind of been going around, and that's kind of interesting. Dynamic NFTs, something where if you want, instead of let's say you have like a screensaver, like what if instead of a screensaver you have this NFT that you own, which you can think of as like a digital print, or it could be, or it's a unique one. It could be a one of one, but like it's somehow tied to you only because the artist, when you became the one who was buying it, was able to adjust the smart contract to like always shift on your birthday exactly. Like, there's like these really cool things that you can do with digital art, that and with this technology that i'm we're just tapping in. Like, it's probably annoying, but it is really early. We're really early. There's a lot of new stuff just starting to happen,
I don't think
literally.
it's annoying at all. I think it's great that you're doing all that. Like,
Thanks.
personally speaking, I, when I got into it, I had a really hard time. I almost felt like I was juggling a digital art fan base and career and then my physical. And it just seemed like two entirely different fan bases. And at the time, I couldn't figure out how to get the two fan bases to talk to each other. Like, we did like the digital projects where, NFT and physical, and still I couldn't get them to talk to one another. And it came to a point where I, like, this is me personally speaking, just for myself. I came to a crossroads where I had to choose one or the other, and I just love physical so much. I just, kept going down physical. But no, I think I'm doing myself a great disservice by not learning about these things and not doing it. So, like, I commend you for all that. I imagine this is what MUMBOT World is about, right? Taking all these new
Um,
technologies and all these things.
yeah, so Mamba World is like my specifically like personal projects and what I'm doing there, but Ghost Club is the one where I'm like bringing in other artists and kind of welcoming them and like creating that's the international creative community where I have artists from all over the world in there, and a lot of people who are very well established outside of the digital realm, but are
Mhm.
also like playing around in Web3 too. And we're all sharing our different like tips and experiences and resources, and we're doing a lot of co-working in the live stream regularly, and supporting each other. But also, sometimes we'll have someone completely brand new who just like really has no clue about even like what is a smart contract, like what is that. They just,
Yeah.
or um they I try to stay super plugged in, so I like try to know the nerdiest things you can think of. Like, I try to stay really like super plugged into all of the things,
Uh huh.
and so it just depends on like where you're at, but like there's like a lot of different things going on right now, and some of it is like so cool, but it's like way too intense for some people who are just sort of starting to try to figure out the space. So like, we're really great. We can go deep, but like we also are really good at in Ghost Club, like we're all really good at just like also just being a chill place to kind of hang and do your art, whatever that is. And then if
Okay.
you want to learn more, like we can, help in that way too. Like we have somebody who he lives in Japan right now, and we just like I think one day it was just recommended like that he would do well with AR. He started teaching himself Blender, and then he recently, within 6 months, um, learned Blender well enough and learned like these AR apps after that. Uh, and he did like a whole thing for his town. Like the town hired him to create this like AR 3D scavenger hunt in Japan.
Jeez, in six
Yeah,
months.
within six
Wow,
months.
that's incredible.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's great. So this is like an environment where there's an artist that's kind of by themselves. They either want a community or they want to learn more about certain aspects. They can come in and talk with all the other artists.
Yeah,
And
and we have toy designers, uh, again, 3D artists, some that are at varying stages. We have like our wizard who's like been doing it since like 2014, 2015.
mhm,
We have, illustrators, fine artists, uh, and then all different types of toys. Like we have a production person who's more of a production guy, and then we have somebody who's specializing in like safubi, and we have like different types of people who come in. We have another person who's maybe an animator. We have another dude who's like, we have a lot of muralists, and we have this one dude who's like a epic muralist, illustrator, and also like he taught himself how to sculpt in VR, which is insane. And now he's making full on toys. Like, and we've literally seen the whole process from beginning to end. Like we've seen him
amazing.
go from that to like now he has fully articulated figures that he's
Did
painting
you
as well.
did you start Ghost Club yourself? Or I mean, obviously it's a collective now, but sounds like it was your idea.
Yeah, yeah. It started um me and my husband, we were always kind of this type, like doing like community related things. Like we were curating shows or trying to, figure out ways to have involve artists that we knew into projects. But Ghost Club specifically was on Clubhouse. Like I was on Clubhouse for like a week, and as soon as it allowed me to make clubs, I made a Mamba World Club and a Ghost Club. And the Ghost Club intention from the beginning was to connect with, creative people around the world, to do exactly this, to do co-working and share resources and uplift each other. And it just grew like and evolved into something way bigger, like where, we are now, where we do events and we have like projects that we're working on with everybody. But like there were other groups, I was in like probably 10 other art groups that were um doing different versions of this, and maybe just a little bit of these things. And then, or maybe it was missing some of the stuff that I wanted to do. And so like, I just kind of focused on how I would want to do it, and I just did it my way. And then that's kind of, and it's not like, obviously it's not just me, it's like it's a whole team
Yeah.
effort. So
So I imagine you're not on Clubhouse anymore. That's is it's dead, right? So you've
it's
now
still a
transitioned.
thing. It's still a
Really?
thing. Yeah, it's
Oh
still a
my
thing.
gosh, I haven't been on there in so long. I
No, me
imagine
too.
you guys have transitioned to Discord now. Is that where this is?
So like Twitter Spaces was the
You still
evolution from
uh-huh.
Clubhouse. Clubhouse still had better audio quality, but um, that might be changing now. But Twitter Spaces for the last 2 years has been the main audio chat app, but also Discord. So
Ha,
Discord the whole time has still been
yeah,
the option, but it's like a little more personal. I feel like Discord is always a little bit more. It's like always a smaller audience. It's more
got
like
it.
concentrated.
How often are you doing the Twitter Spaces?
I mean, I chilled out a lot, like as of January, like
Oh,
this January. I still do it, but if I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna be a little vulnerable. Uh, I started to have um, it started to make me feel like I had no time. Like I needed I how do I word this? There's only so much like access you can give of yourself
yeah.
that, do you know what I mean?
I
Um
imagine you were having a lot of artists asking you a lot of questions and for help. Is that kind of what you're alluding to?
that part that part is fine. It was like it wasn't just that. It's like I had that and I like that. I enjoy that, but it was also there were just so many Twitter spaces about all these different topics and uh you know, you're asked to participate
Mm,
because you can add value and it's just after a while then there's like stuff that I enjoy like a podcast like this, or something where it's more of a conversation and that I enjoy, but there were just a lot of the more formal ones um and then in addition to that, we were doing drop parties like to help promote projects, which is good. And at the time that was really helpful, but when you're adding like five other things per week, like that are, you know, at least five, that was like getting really intense. And then in addition to that, just wanting to have like the co-working time that was more chill in with the community with like it's just and then you also have to be available for your family and yourself
yeah,
so
of
it's
course. Yeah, I don't think you're saying anything wrong here at all. I mean, you're
yeah.
human. You're only one person. You want your family time. You want your you time. You need to work. No, I completely understand. It you can. That's the thing with anything. If you can only devote so much time to everything. It's just how it goes. Like I always felt, you know, again, I don't have as much experience, but like whenever I was on Clubhouse and then I've been in Twitter Spaces, sometimes some people just want to talk just to talk to get their followers up and be heard. Like they don't actually want to add value or help anybody. It's just like, let me get on that stage so everyone can see me and I can get my icon up there and get more followers. And it's like, how do you know who's doing that for the right reasons? I don't know. It's just my own personal gripe. I don't think there's anything wrong with what you said. I do want to talk about something I just saw you. I don't know if you tweeted it or where I saw it, but you were referring to how many different social media platforms there are
mm,
and talking about only focusing on one or two, and that's where you put all your attention. And it was so funny because when I saw that, it was because I had a new post that I was counting the other day. When I have like a big like main main character post, there's 7 different social media platforms I post that on, and
oh
it's
my
the
goodness,
same content on every one. It's like, what am I doing? This is insane. Like you can't keep on track of all this stuff.
it's so many, there are just so many. And it's so funny because I've started to like, I don't know if this is weird, but I've started to just really enjoy the ones where I have the least. This is so weird. I don't know. Like it's probably not good, but I started to really enjoy the ones I have the least followers and the least engagement for some reason. It's like I'm posting in this like secret place, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's counter what counterintuitive of
Yeah.
small business owner, but no, I get it. It's a lot. I'll be honest. Like we take like my girlfriend and I we've only been together for a couple of years. We take like a big vacation every summer, and this year we went to Italy. And one of the mornings I woke up in Italy, I'm on my unplugged from the world 2 week vacation, and I have all these texts from my managers like, hey, there's a new app. You got to download it and start an account, start posting right now. It's called Threads. And I got anxiety. Like I got anxiety on my trip. Like, oh my God. And I'm talking to my girlfriend, like, I gotta get this. Like, there's no Wi-Fi here. And like, what am I doing? It's terrible. And I made this whole like all these tips so I could post one every day for like months. And like it's asinine, like what we're doing to ourselves. So I completely get it. Like it's just I've been having a lot of meetings with social media companies like that want to run my social media platforms for me, and like this is the kind of engagement you should be getting. It's like, oh my God.
Are you allowed to I know
I'm an open
I'm
book.
just curious. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah,
Are you
totally.
are you allowed to like tell them like can you say I just want you to post maybe like in between this time and this time like per day? Like so you could be the one who's mostly running it, but like maybe they're just there to buffer the days where you might miss a post or like something
Yeah.
like that?
Well, I used to have someone that ran my social media. I don't right now. I'm doing it myself currently. But
Mm.
yeah, like what we would do was, okay, I have a new toy coming out at the end of the month, right? It comes out. This is all make believe. It comes out, the end of September. So for a month, we're going to talk about it twice a week. The first week, twice. You know what I mean? So I would know, we would plan all that stuff out, and then we would make the content, and it was all like preloaded. Where like at the time, like even now, like I have them all in like a folder on my phone, so I can go in and do it. But even when they were doing it, we knew that like, okay, we're gonna post at 9 a.m. and it was very much like, even when they were posting it, I kind of was just like hands off. Or even when I'm posting it, I just post it and I walk away. But like now that you can schedule posts on Instagram, like it's super easy. Like I'll just go and I'll load that thing up in Instagram, then I'm like done. So it's just
What?
kind of
Wait,
pre-planning.
you can
Do you not know
schedule
about
on
this?
Instagram? What?
It's so I'm 41, and a 26-year-old told me that. So this is exactly what I
Oh,
mean.
cool.
You can literally go on Instagram now, instead of like clicking like you get your post ready. Instead of clicking post, there's a schedule button, and you can
Nice.
schedule it like weeks in advance. And like I just load that thing up with like posts.
That's pretty cool. That's a good tip. I'm gonna do
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I don't know if a lot of people know that. I mean, like I said, I as a younger person, they tell me that. But yeah, that's what I've been doing myself. Because like I honestly, whenever I had someone, because like again, I'm not a MUMBOT, or I'm not like a name. I'm Matt Gondek, right? It felt really weird having someone create Matt Gondek posts and post for Matt Gondek. You know what I mean? It was like a
Yeah.
weird feeling. Like it's
Yeah.
different for the podcast, or like I have like a merchandise company, Black Book, but like when it's me, it's like somebody else would post, "Hey, I'm painting right now." I'm like, I'm not painting. I'm fucking playing video game. You know what I mean? It was weird. So I had to start doing it again myself.
Have you ever thought of doing like a fictional character that represents you? That's like in your studio. Like it could start to be like a little character that's like it starts to be introduced by like like a work in progress image or something, and your character's like sitting there, and then slowly over
Maybe.
time it just takes over your account.
I never thought about that. I think my ego is too big. I just want all the attention all the time. I want to get on the Twitter space stage so everyone can see me and follow me.
Yeah.
No, I've never thought about that, but that might be something to think about. What do you want to talk about? We can talk about anything. You can ask me more questions too. Like I feel like I just ask everybody questions all the time.
Well, I actually had I had a few questions. I had a theory. So like sometimes you're doing like what it's called the pop deconstructionism, right? It's like
Yeah.
sort of in that genre, right?
Yeah.
So do you feel like I'm just curious, do you feel like when you kind of get known for something like that, like do you feel like it's hard to break out of that if you want to like do, I mean, I see you doing a lot. You do like a range of stuff, and it feels like just from outside looking, it feels like you're like evolving. You're in a evolutionary phase. Is if I'm correct, I don't know, but that's what it feels
Yeah.
like for me when I'm looking at what you're doing lately.
Well, thanks. There's a term called "once a ladder, now a crutch,"
Hmm.
and it just so happened like I've been drawing these cartoons and everything my entire life, and like once a ladder, meaning that the type of art I do was a ladder up, because like although I'm doing fine art, people who don't care about fine art like my stuff because it's characters they know. Once a
Hmm.
ladder, now a crutch. At what point does it become a crutch where, because I'm successful, because I have a big team now, because I have a studio, I have to produce these things that people like and know me for to keep money coming in to finance all this stuff, right? It's now a
Mm.
crutch, right? So I'm constantly battling with this yin and yang of like doing the thing I'm known for that brings the money in, that the fans appease the fans. But then I think a lot of artists go through this, that we want to prove to ourselves that we're so much more than the one thing. Like it's why, the bands you like, they branch out into different types of music, because like they want to prove to themselves, it's ego, that I'm better, I'm more than the one thing you know me for. But a lot of times the people don't want that. And as I'm getting older, I'm just like, fuck it. Sometimes I just do weird stuff. Like I just did a Safubi, like just because I wanted to. There's like this weird, like Godzilla-ish thing. And like, yeah,
I saw
obviously it's
that.
in the cool.
That's
It's in
cool.
the vein of what I do, but like I just wanted to do it. Like I sometimes you just got to do stuff that you want to do. I think I think for a lot of artists, like a lot of us start out with nothing. Like I'm from a cornfield in the middle of Pennsylvania. I didn't have money growing up, and when I got money, I was like, "This is great," but I'm scared this is going to go away, and I
Hmm.
was so afraid to rock the boat. I think a lot of people are like that. then you just kind of become like an assembly line of just making the same thing over and over just to keep the wheel turning, and you just feel hollow. Like I have this conversation so much with like my friends I see all the time. Like we all want to get out from under the one thing that we're known for, you know?
Yeah.
But on the same side, like, thank God, I have the thing because I don't think there's so many people that don't ever have the thing, you know? So
Oh yeah, totally.
I just feel like every day it's a different, I feel certain ways about it. But thank you for noticing I'm trying to elevate it because you're right. As you get popular and as things start selling, people notice and they start replicating it. So you try to push it. I think that's a good thing to always be pushing your work, and trying harder. Uh, Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, it made me think of something because I was trying to think about like how like when you're learning I also I don't know, I could be like very like undereducated about like art nowadays, but like the fine art world and whatnot, but when you're learning about art and like masters and they have like their periods, right? Like of their collections that they were working on, like they have like, oh, this was the blue era or this was the, whatever, they have like a name for these like eras of time where they were exploring something new.
Hmm.
Um I feel like that's another cool thing about like this new sort of digital renaissance has been going on, like some people are referring to it. It's kind of allowing artists to um it's just kind of giving space to artists to like explore their potential in a way where maybe we were previously getting limited in by like what's commercially okay, or like falling into like these traps of being like what people think is what brand should be, but like there's like a line that artists have to blur. Like we this is just my opinion, but like we have to be able to break down these boundaries and break down these expectations of what might be considered like what's the word, like marketable, or what's like if you want to be able to make a really big impact and evolve as an artist, um you can't like let anybody put you in a box,
Oh
if that
yeah,
makes sense.
no, it makes a lot of sense. Like, uh, I've had conversations with people that have MFAs and bachelor degrees in fine art, and that's great. But they get taught a very regimented hallway of things, and then they look at someone like myself, and I'm sure there's a lot of parallels between you and I there, where like I didn't go to art school, and I don't have any formal training, so I could be looked down on because not only do I paint fine art, but I do a mural or I do a toy, and they're like, to them it's like, well, if you're trying to become a fine artist, why would you do these other things? And like, I think that having a narrow mindset is just such a detriment to anybody, artists included, obviously. Like someone like yourself, like I think what sets you apart is the fact that you do have so many different mediums and like you have a style. So, you could do a mural or you could do an NFT, you could do a toy, and it's all going to look like you did it. But then what else sets you apart that it makes you, marketable and like a great artist is like the community you built and the inclusiveness and helping people. These are the things that, I think are going to carry you throughout your career and will always make sure that you are in favor. And like, I think that's what artists have to be now because they're just so, every year just gets easier and easier to get your work out there and get noticed. And like, everybody's now making art and like everyone's trying to sell it, but like not everyone's trying to help people or start a community. That's what sets you apart. And I think that's great. I don't know if that really, I'm just kind of piggybacking off what you said, but I don't think there's like any right answer to how to do this.
Yeah. That's kind of one of the things I think about you with your podcast. I mentioned your podcast on my podcast on one of the episodes, and I was saying something about because someone was like, I don't know anyone else who's doing something like this, like with other creators. And I know that you don't just interview creators, but you, I was like, oh yeah, you have to check out Matt Gondek's podcast. It's so good, and I really appreciate it because it's like you're giving real information, and you're also you say stuff that like you went through. You talk about from experience about like things that happened to you, and I feel like almost every creator can really relate to some of the stuff you talk about. So
Yeah. Well, thank you. I just think like so many young people, like if they didn't know who you were, right? And they're young and they go to your page now and they see MUMBOT, in October 2023, wow, she does this, she does this. Wow, she must be so great. They don't know all the stuff you had to go through to get to that point, right? So like, I
mhm.
think it's really important to talk about all the shit you had to get to where you are, like the times you had to move to a different country. Like all of that is so important for young artists to hear because like Instagram and all this stuff is just highlight reels, so
Oh,
it's
I
important
agree.
to talk about all the
Yeah.
crap. It's just
Oh, people have no idea sometimes, and then it's nice. I had this one lady. I did a workshop, and I had this one lady who was just like, I feel like she came just to be a hater. Like I feel like she came to the workshop just to give me a hard time. And um oh yeah, for sure, cuz she was like trolling me in person, and it was like it's fine. I had a teenager already. I'm like a I'm s- my what's the word? My tolerance for trolling was like huge.
go
I've been
ahead.
trolled. No one
I
could troll
mean,
me worse than my teenage son. So,
yeah, got it.
no, but she was like trolling me in person. It was so crazy, and she was uh just doubting like, "Oh, you've been published? Oh, you're where did you learn this?" Like she said something like in like all the galleries you've exhibited in or something, and then I was like, I was like, I just started to like get like to this place where I'm at not that long ago, and I was like, and it took a really long time to get to this place, and I still have a long way to go. So I was like, you know,
Was she an artist as well?
yeah, she was like, you could tell she was doing it as like a hobby, it
Got
wasn't
it.
something she
Yeah.
was doing seriously. And then
Yeah.
she just like, I don't know, she kept coming, and then she chilled out like by like the third workshop. So
I just think it's insecurity. I mean, do you ever hear the term? This is one of my favorite terms, crabs in a bucket. Do you know that term?
I just heard about that recently.
I love saying about this. For everyone who doesn't know, crabs in a bucket. You put a bunch of crabs in a bucket, they'll all be trapped and miserable together. But as soon as one crab gets enough gumption to try to climb out, the other crabs will get jealous and they'll literally pull them back down in. These kind of people don't want anybody to succeed because if they're miserable, they want everyone to be miserable. And the second someone tries to make their lives better, well, screw that person. I doubt them. They're not any good. Pull them back down. It just sounds, I mean, I think anybody that experiences any kind of like success or like energy in their career, they're gonna have people around them that do that stuff. It's just some people can't accept that they can't be happy for other people.
You know what's so cool too is once you start to learn how to shed that mentality and start to recognize like that's not real, like it's fake, like it's really not real. And I feel like once you start to shed that and then also start to like work on the things that you could do to like shine a light on others that are just doing something cool, like just like period, just like try to get rid of the thing that you think is taking from you. Like is it taking from you? Is it like, even if you feel competitive, I don't necessarily think competition is a bad thing. I think sometimes being a competitive person is a good thing because you don't have to feel like competitive, like I'm going to take them down. You could be like in a positive way. You can be a competitive person that's like, oh shoot, like my friend's already this far ahead on this project. Like I need to get my shit together. Like I need to get on that level. And in my opinion, that's like inspirational competitiveness, which is a good thing, a motivational competitiveness. But
Yeah.
yeah, like the part where I know a lot of artists are dealing with it all the time. I don't know how, like at some point I just stopped doing it. Like I used to compare myself to others, and I just realized like at some point that was completely pointless. Like I realized it because my situation is so weird. I have like a lot of weird, unique situations that have like no one could relate to where I come from. No one knows like how hard anyone else has it or what they're going through and what they did to get there, and there's just literally no point in comparing yourself uh or you know where you're at, because like as we move forward, we all have points where we have to slow down. We all have different challenges we have to deal with, whether it be health or family or world events, or just simply like, you know, you're not able to sleep, you're not sleeping well. You know, it. Who knows whatever the circumstances are, everyone's going through those, and you and I think it's also great to become super hyper aware of like when you see it happening and another person is hurtful to you, um to just let it bounce off, because it's not you. You have to immediately recognize it and be like, okay, they are like projecting because of what
Yeah.
they're going through. They're mad about their situation, and you really have to like focus on just knowing that that is not about you, that's about them, and then just kind of know how not to be like, don't be like that, because
You're
that's not the
absolutely
way.
right. It's so hard though. I mean, I completely agree. It's so hard though to not compare yourself to other people, but you have to. I mean, there's always going to be someone that's doing more than you or making more than you or whose work you think is better than how you think your work. You just have to improve yourself. But I completely agree. Like there's always gonna be someone who doesn't like you that you can't do anything about either.
Yeah,
It's just how life works, you know?
yeah. Everything that I do, um it's really funny because like I used to, this is a long time ago also, I used to ask like people in my house like, do you like this, you know, I'd ask like opinions, like, what do you think, how do you think this is looking? And after a while, um you know, like for example, my husband, I'll give him use him as an example. There was a collection I was working on for a show in Brooklyn, and one piece that was like my hero piece, he was like, I hate that. He's like, I hate that piece. He really didn't like it. And I was like, what?
Perfect.
I was like, that's so like frustrating because this is my hero piece. Um, Whatever. I had to like just be like, whatever. Like I obviously respect what he thinks and his opinions, but I had to like stick with my own gut and be like, no, this is staying in the show because this is like the hero piece. I like it, you know?
This is
And
the
sure
big
enough,
piece.
dude, it was like so well received. I'm sure there were a small percentage that were like him. There was like, this sucks, but I went with my gut, and that was the right move, and I was proud of the overall, like, group of pieces, you know, and I'm still happy that I left it in the show, but, I guess what I'm saying is it just can be, it doesn't matter, uh I don't even know what I'm saying anymore.
No, no, it's fine. I mean, yeah, you're right. Not everyone's gonna always like everything. It's so hard though to like I mean, I find myself even doing this. Like you spend so much time on something and like you put it on social media. And if it doesn't get enough likes that in your head is good enough amount of likes, you're like, well, this must not be good. It's not the case. Let's wrap this up. We're past the hour point. I try to keep these concise to an hour. Do you have any final thoughts before we hang up here? Anything you wanna any parting wisdom for the listeners here?
Um, just, be consistent, go listen to your gut, and, uh, uplift others when you can. I
You
don't
said
know.
that in kind of a question.
Yeah,
Uplift
like, I'm trying to
others.
think of a better one. Let me think of some other good ones. Yeah, don't tear down others,
Yeah.
but go with your gut, and, don't compare yourself to others, and, um, what was my other good one? I had another good one.
Did you already say it?
Yeah, I
I
said
don't
it
know.
already.
Oh, then you already have it.
It's okay.
Don't compare yourself to others.
I had a good
Be
one.
kind. I
At the
don't remember
time.
what the other one was. Well,
Oh, don't let anybody put you in a box. That was another good
oh
one.
yeah, that's a good one. I do like
Yeah.
that. Cool. Well, MUMBOT Jade, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'll talk to you next time. See ya.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, everybody, I hope you enjoyed that. Maybe you have questions or opinions about what we talked about on this episode. Maybe you have your own questions about your art career or are just looking for some advice. Shoot us an email and we'll answer your questions on a future episode. You can email us directly on our website, cleanbreakpodcast.com. And just a reminder that all our past episodes are available there, as well as a ton of free resources, guides, and tips on how to make more money with your art and get more people interested. This podcast is produced by Elijah Walsh, theme song by Ditch David, additional research by Ikram Dadar. I want to thank Patrick, Jason, and the Always Art team. My name is Matt Gondek. I'll crash you next time.